Hello, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for this nice conference in this nice place and also for this invitation. I really appreciate. So, an alternative title of the talk could be the following. In fact, in this talk, we develop the notion of a Morse sequence, and which provides an alternative approach to discrete Morse theory. And in our opinion, we think that this approach is very simple and effective. So there exist actually two basic ways to set up a framework for discrete Morse theory. The first historical one is the approach of Robin Forman, which is based on the discrete Morse function. And the second one is based on acyclic matching. It is considered sometimes as the modern approach of discrete Morse theory. And this approach is well represented by the work of Dmitry Kozlov. It should be noted that there is an equivalence between these two approaches, and also in the framework we proposed, there is a perfect equivalence between these two frameworks. So one slide to illustrate the basic notion of discrete Morse theory. The first fundamental notion is, of course, the notion of critical phase. So, for example, a critical phase may correspond to maxima, saddle, minima. And in fact, the idea is to try to recover the topology of the object through this set of critical phases. A phase which is not critical is called the regular phase. And we have to provide a basic structure on this set of critical phases. This basic structure will be given by a set of regular pairs, which are simply pairs of regular phases. And the set of all regular pairs is the gradient vector field of the object. The context of the talk will be the context of simplicial complex. Two elementary notions are the boundary of a phase and the co-boundary of a phase. The boundary of a segment here is made of the two red vertices. The co-boundary of the vertex B is made of the three segments which contain the vertex. And also, for describing the topology of the object, we will use homology and cohomology. Donc, through the notion of a chain complex. In all this talk, the variable P will stand for the dimension. And a chain complex is a sequence of space indexed by their dimension, and which are connected by boundary operators. And boundary operators must satisfy this basic property here. So if we have this structure, we can define the cycles, the boundaries, the homology space of this chain complex. In a dual way, we will use cochain complex. Cochain complex is also a sequence vector space. The only difference is that we use the co-boundary operators, which must satisfy this property. And also, it allows to define cocycles, co-boundaries, and cohomology spaces. In this talk, we will use modulo 2 arithmetic. So the plan of the presentation is the following. First, we will introduce the notion, of course, of Morse sequence. This notion is based on 4 elementary operators, which were introduced by Whitehead. The first well-known operator is collapse, and its inverse, the expansion operator. Recall that a free pair is a pair of simplicial of simplex, sigma tau, such that tau is the only phase which contains sigma. So if we have a free pair, if we remove a free pair, we have an elementary collapse. If we add a free pair, we have an elementary expansion. If we have 2 objects, a collapse from one object to the other is simply a sequence of elementary from the first object to the second one. Here you have an example of a sequence of elementary collapse. So the collapse may be seen, and the expansion may be seen as a counterpart, a discrete counterpart of continuous deformation, and through these operators we keep the topology of the object. The 2 other operations we will use as the fillings and the perforation. So it's very simple. An elementary filling of a simplicial complex consists in the addition of a maximal phase. The inverse of an elementary filling is an elementary perforation. So, for example, you have a simplicial complex and 3 examples of elementary fillings. You see here, we have added a segment. We destroy a connected component. Here, we also have added a segment. We create a cycle. And in fact, it is a general property. If we make an elementary filling, a p-dimensional elementary filling, then either we create p cycles or we delete p minus 1 cycle. So the filling and perforation are closely related to homology. So the first basic slide of this talk is the following, the definition of Morse sequence. We have given a simplicial complex, and the Morse sequence on this simplicial complex is a sequence, W, starting from the empty set and going until the simplicial complex key. And this sequence is such that at a certain level, either we have an elementary filling or we have an elementary expansion. It's very simple. If we have an elementary filling, we say that the corresponding phase is critical for the object, for the sequence, excuse me. If we have an elementary expansion, we say that the corresponding pair is regular for the sequence. And in the talk, we will make the following distinction. The simplex sigma is, we will say that the simplex sigma is lower regular for the sequence. And the simplex tau is upper regular. Make a little decomposition. So the gradient vector field of the sequence is simply the set composed of all regular pairs. First, observe that a Morse sequence is a filtration, that is to say, a sequence of nested complexes. Also, we can see that there is a notion of duality. I can define the dual of this sequence just as the inverse of this sequence. if I take the inverse of the sequence, we will have elementary perforation and elementary collapse. So there is a duality. We will retrieve this duality in all this talk. So just an example here. We have the original object, and this is an example of an extraction of small of a sequence. So we start from the empty set. From the empty set, we cannot do an elementary expansion. So we have to make an elementary filling. So we are obliged to create, at this step there is another way to do it. But we are obliged in this context to introduce a critical vertex, the red vertex. After several steps, we make elementary expansion, one-dimensional. Here we have made two elementary expansion. Here at level 8, we see that we have introduced a critical segment, a critical vertex, and an elementary expansion. So with 10 levels, we have more sequence. So the gradient vector field, as we have said, maybe correspond to the regular pairs. These regular pairs may be illustrated by arrows. If I follow arrows, I retrieve the classical notion of discrete Morse theory of a gradient path by just following these arrows. A basic notation in this talk. We will write hat W for the set, the important set of all critical faces, and we will write a dot W for the set of all regular pairs. So dot W is the gradient field of the sequence. We will say that two sequences are equivalent if they have the same gradient field. So two observations. If I consider two consecutive fillings in this sequence, by the very definition of Morse sequence, between these two consecutive fillings, there are only elementary collapse. So there is a sequence of collapse between these two simplicial complexes, and this property corresponds, in fact, to a fundamental property of discrete Morse theory, which is called the collapse theorem. And what is interesting is that in the very definition of a Morse sequence, we have a certain aspect of this fundamental theorem. Sometimes it took several pages to establish this theorem in the classical framework. Also another characteristic is that by the very definition of a Morse sequence, we can prove in a few lines that the gradient vector field induced by the sequence is a matching which is acyclic. A matching means that a phase is paired at most with one other phase. And it is very easy to prove. And again, we have, in the very definition of a sequence, we have the property of acyclicity. And it's very interesting because we have more straightforward proofs and properties. So first thing is to we want to know how to build a Morse sequence from a given object. There are naturally, from the definition of a sequence, two natural ways, which are the following. The maximal increasing scheme. So to build the sequence, we start from the empty set, and we go from the left to the right of the sequence. And at each step, of course, we make either an expansion or a filling. Also, we make a filling only if no expansion can be made in order to try to reduce the number of critical phases. In a dual way, we have the maximal decreasing scheme. We can build the sequence from the right to the left, and we obtain the empty set by iterative collapse and perforation, and we make a perforation only if no collapse can be made. So this is two basic scheme to build a Morse sequence, and in fact we must have in mind that these schemes are very natural, but there are other ones. We can try to build the sequence by starting at the middle of the object, for example. So an example of the maximal increasing scheme on the torus. So this is a triangulation of the torus, and I start from the empty set. So the first step is to pick a vertex in pink. After here, we have made all the elementary expansion we can do, and here you see we are stuck. We cannot do any other elementary expansion. So we create a critical phase, B, which is a segment. Again, we make all possible elementary expansion. Again, we are stuck here. So we create another critical segment, C. We do all possible elementary expansion. We are stuck. So we create the critical triangle. So the result is the following. For this, with this scheme, we obtain 4 critical phases for the torus, which is in fact optimal. And the critical phase E corresponds to the connected component. The reflex is a representative of the connected component. B and C are representative of the 2 fundamental cycles of the torus, and D is a representative of the two-dimensional cycles of the torus. So, at this step, we have all the basic notion in order to settle. We have seen critical phase, regular phase, upper, lower regular phase, the gradient field. And now we have to try to describe the topology of the original object with the very set of critical phases. In order to do that, we have to make some link between the original space of the object and the critical phases. For that purpose, we will introduce 2 basic maps we call a reference and co-reference map in order to try to build some link between these 2 spaces. Just a basic notation. If we have a simplicial complex key, a p-chain of key is the set composed of all p-dimensional simplexes of key. We will write key p for the set composed of all p-chains of key. And if W is a Morse sequence, we write hat WP for the set of P chains which are composed solely of critical phases. This is an important notation because the two spaces I evoked will be P and hat WP. So the second basic slide of this talk is the following, with the definition of these two maps, the reference and coreference map. So we are given a Morse sequence, and we define some maps. We have used this notation, V and wedge, for the two linear maps. So from the original object to the set of critical chains. And these two maps must satisfy the following condition for each critical phase of the sequence. We must have the identity. Then, for a reference map, for each regular pair, we must have this condition, and for the coreference, this condition. So for a reference map, the upper phase, the value of the upper phase must be 0. And the value of the lower phase must be equal to the value of the boundary of the upper phase plus sigma. So the boundary of the upper phase contains sigma. We are using modulo 2 arithmetic, so this expression is exactly the same as this expression. That is to say, we take the boundary of the upper phase, we remove the phase sigma, and we compute, we have the reference map of sigma. So the coreference map is dual. So the coreference map of the lower phase must be equal to 0, and the coreference map of the upper phase must be is built on the co-boundary of the lower phase. So an example, in order to give an example of reference and coreference map, we must have a Morse sequence. So first I give an example of a Morse sequence. I take an object, and here we have a description of a Morse sequence. This Morse sequence is composed of two critical phases, a vertex in red, and a segment is blue. So for the next slide, try to remember this fact, two critical phases, which are the following. So an example of a reference map. I recall the condition for a reference map above. And to illustrate the reference map, I use the following convention. In 0, in dark gray, you have the phases, the value whose value is 0. In red, you have this condition, the reference of a phase in red here is precisely A, the vertex we have seen before. And in blue, we have the reference, we depict in blue the phases, the reference of which is precisely B, the critical simplex we have seen at the previous slide. So we have seen that the Morse sequence may be built in different ways. But reference map, it is mandatory that we build a reference map from the left to the right, because causality condition, and we can build this function only from starting from the left to the right of the sequence. So I describe the construction of the reference map. We start from to the first step of the Morse sequence. Identity on the critical phase, so in red. Here we have made the first expansion. For the upper phase, we must have 0, so it is in the dark gray. For the lower phase of this elementary expansion, I applied this equation. So I take the boundary of this upper phase, I remove this phase, and so I obtain the red simple. So you see, in fact, if I continue, that all the vertices of the object will be labeled in red. After I make elementary two-dimensional expansion, for example, this one here, the triangle must be equal to 0 with this condition. The value of this segment must be equal to the value to this segment and this segment. So we obtain 0. We create, we continue. This critical must be in blue. I take this one, this example. So here we have made in the corresponding Morse sequence an elementary expansion. So the triangle must be 0. And the value of this segment is the sum of the value of the boundary here. Here we have 0. Here we have the value blue. And so this, the value of this segment is blue. So we obtain this, this representation for the reference map. So you see here that at this step, there is a propagation effect upward of the value of the critical phases. An important remark, with this construction, it may be proved that there exists one and only one reference map for each Morse sequence. There is this property. So an example for the co-reference map. So co-reference map, it is mandatory that we scan the sequence from the right to the left. So we start from the simplicial complex key, and we make some. We have some elementary collapse or elementary perforation. Here we have the identity on the critical phase. I just illustrate this step here, key 3, this level. You see at this level, all phases in grays has been removed because we, and also this critical phase. So at this step, we have an elementary collapse, which is here. And so the value of the vertex, we applied this condition, it is 0. For computing the value of the upper phase, we apply this equation. So we take the commentary of the vertex minus this one. We obtain 0 plus 0 plus blue. So the label of this simplex is blue. And we see that this label will be propagated, and we have a downward propagation of the values of the critical faces. So the example on the torus, I take the same, I consider the Morse sequence, which is condensed in this picture. The reference map is the following, and the co-reference map is the following. The reference map, you see with the same convention as before, you see that the value of the critical phase has been propagated upward, the same for this one. Also observe that for this segment X, the value, the reference of X is the sum of these values. So the value of X is B plus C. So of course, a phase may have more than one label. And here you have the co-reference map. We have started from this critical phase. The label has been propagated, the label of D has been propagated downward. So all these triangles are in yellow. Here, the label of B has been propagated downward in the sequence. And you see here, for the co-reference, that all B is a representative of one cycle, we have said, of the torus. But you see that with the propagation, all segment label in blue correspond to cycles of the torus. So you have a representative of the cycles, and you have really a cycles here. So this notion is very easy to see that this notion is linked to the notion of a gradient path. We have the following property. Critical phase is in the reference of an arbitrary phase if and only if the number of gradient paths from this phase to the critical phase is odd. And the same for, so there is an equivalence between this notion and gradient path. So now, in order to have a richer structure, the space made of all critical phase, we will introduce an equivalent of the classical notion of critical complex, which is also called the Morse, the famous Morse complex. So for that purpose, we have to introduce some boundary operators on the very set of critical phases. We denote these boundary operators with hat. The definition is very simple. If we take a critical phase, the critical boundary of this phase is the reference of the ordinary boundary of this phase. And in dual way, the critical co-boundary of this phase is obtained with a co-reference map. So the reference map and co-reference map allows us to define these boundary, co-boundary operators restricted to the critical phase. An illustration here. I take also the same Morse sequence of the torus. For example, let us consider the critical phase D, and if I want to compute its critical boundary, I take first its ordinary boundary, I obtain these three segments, and after I use the reference map to compute the critical boundary. So I obtain B in green, the reference of this is C in green, B in blue, and I have to make the sum with the reference of x. We have seen that the reference of x is b plus c, so with the modulo 2 arithmetic, we obtain 0 for the critical boundary of this simplex. We have a theorem which reflects an important duality relation between the reference map and coreference map, which is the following. If we have given two critical phase, then we have the following property. We have sigma is in the critical boundary of tau if and only if tau is in the critical co-boundary of sigma. So with these operators, we easily derive the following property. So these operators are in fact really boundary and co-boundary operators. So I have, we may define, we may consider a chain complex, we have seen. This is a chain complex which is built on the critical phase. We call this chain complex the critical complex of the Morse sequence. And it may be proved that this notion of critical complex is exactly, there is an equivalence, it is exactly the classical notion of critical complex or Morse complex. In the classical definition of Morse complex, the classical definition is made by considering the number of gradient paths. Here we have a definition which is given only with maps. It is the main difference. Also, we have the following property. These operators are, the reference map is a chain map, the coreference map is a co-chain map. So this is a classical property of homology. It means that the reference map allows to carry out the homology of key to the smaller space of critical phase. It means that if we have critical cycles, the image of the cycle in the second space is a cycle. The image of a boundary is a boundary. So this is a good property, but we may have two cycles of the object which are mapped in only one cycle of the critical phase. So in order to have an isomorphism, I must have a map in the other direction. So this map is what we call the extension map. The extension map, the definition is very simple also. The extension map of a sequence is the linear map such that for each critical phase, the extension of this phase is composed of all phases such that we have the critical phase is in the coreference of this phase. So please observe that the extension map is built on the coreference map. There is a little surprising thing. Before I just give an illustration, here we have the Morse sequence, the reference map here, and here the extension map. The extension map is built on the coreference map, so we retrieve the same colors as before, but it is not the same interpretation. I will give this interpretation. If I take here the critical phase D, so the extension of D is made of all yellow triangles. So to one critical phase, I have a region. To the extension of B is made of all blue, the set composed of all blue segments, and so on. We have the basic, very basic fact, which allows to better grasp perhaps this notion. The extension of a critical phase contains a unique critical simplex. And this unique critical simplex is precisely key. So you see this extension map is like a segmentation of the object in region. To each critical phase, we associate a region. We have another property. If we have a simplex in the extension of a critical phase, and if this simplex is not this critical phase, then this simplex is upper regular. So it means that we have a nice condition, a regularity condition on all this region. So just to illustrate this fact, we will derive a basic property. We have this fact here. Now, recall that the reference of simplex is 0 whenever the simplex is upper regular. So, by the above proposition, if I take the extension of key and after I take the reference, the upper regular will disappear, and so I obtain only the critical simplex here. So, in other words, it means that we have an identity. First, if I first apply, if I first take the extension, then the reference, I obtain the identity on the very set of critical phases. So, just a remark. Also, we can consider the notion of co-extension, or duality. I just give the simple facts. And also, we can prove that we also have a chain, the condition of a chain map. So the extension is, we can prove that it is a chain map. So we have a chain map from the original object to the set of critical phase. We have a chain map in the other direction. So the reference map and the extension map may be seen as homology inverses. It means that we recover this fundamental theorem of discrete mode theory, that is equivalence of homology between the object and the critical, critical complex. So we recover this fundamental theorem with very different tools. With the original Forman approach, there is not, we have directly built the isomorphism between these two spaces with two maps. That is an important point, directly. In the Forman approach, there is a two-step construction in order to retrieve this theorem. First, there is a notion of flow complex, we will see here, which is introduced. So first, there is an equivalence between the homology of the object and the flow complex, which is established. Then there is an homology, an equivalence between the homology of flow complex and the critical complex. So it's not so simple, and we don't see the very maps which link these two spaces. but of course, this very nice notion of a flow complex, we may wonder, it must exist a link between our framework with the flow complex. So we will see now what is this link with the famous flow complex. So first, I will recall the notion of a flow complex introduced by Forman. First of all, Forman gives the following notation. We introduce a map V, a linear map. This map is simple. It is such that for each lower simplex is sent to the corresponding upper simplex. All other faces have the value 0. So that is the definition of.
Sigma and tau, one dimension apart.
You are right, yes. Yes, this is sleep. So, yes, you are right. So here it is not p, it is p plus 1. So we jump from one dimension, which is in fact important to notice. Thank you. And so now I try to describe the definition of the flow complex only with one slide. So I give the definition of a flow complex. First of all, a little remark. I give the definition of a flow complex for a Morse sequence. In fact, in the original definition of Forman, the flow complex is defined for a discrete Morse function. But it is equivalent. There is an equivalence, no problem. I can say that it is completely equivalent to the original definition of Forman. So the definition of Forman is a map from key of P to key of P. I hope I didn't make a mistake. We satisfy this equation here. So this equation, we retrieve this operator, V, and the boundary operators. And it is not easy to illustrate this notion, in my opinion. In some books, it took several pages just to illustrate this notion. Why? Why? Because in this definition, it is like a flow which starts from the simplex nu and which continue if we make some iteration of this equation. And this flow jump this flow starts in the dimension p, and it can jump in the dimension p plus 1 and dimension p minus 1 with this condition. So the flow goes on 3 consecutive dimensions. So it's not so easy to illustrate this notion, and we will have another illustration. But you see that it is not so easy to think in terms of computation. We have to start from one simplex and to compute the flow from this simplex. So there is a property is that if we iterate this equation, there is a fixed point. So we call the phi infinity the fixed point obtained for a chain C. So the flow stabilizes. And the flow complex is the set composed of all the chains, the fixed points of the chain. And also we obtain the chain complex, and this is the flow complex. So in the construction of Forman, first he established an isomorphism between the original object and this flow complex. Then it allows him to build an isomorphism between this flow complex to the critical Morse complex. So we will try to make a link between this notion. For that purpose, we introduce this notion. If W is a Morse sequence, we consider the image of the extension map. We obtain these things. It may be easily seen that we recover another chain complex. We have called this complex the extension complex. And it is easily to derive with our previous proofs that there is an isomorphism between this extension complex and the critical complex. So we have all the links. And our result is the following, is that in fact this extension complex is exactly the flow complex. So this property, in fact, is obtained with the following theorem, which is perhaps, it is more easy to illustrate this fundamental theorem. And this theorem says that the fixed point of the flow may be simply obtained by considering first the reference map and after applying the extension map. So I try to illustrate this theorem. So suppose I pick an arbitrary simplex, for example, this one, this simplex. And I want to compute the fixed point of the flow starting from this simplex. If I apply this property, it's very simple, in fact, because suppose I have pre-computed the reference map and the extension map, what I have to do is just the following. I take the simplex, I read the reference value of this simplex. It is in blue. It means that it corresponds to the critical simplex B. So I read the extension map here at B, and then I read the faces which are in blues, which correspond to the extension of this face. And so it's very simple with this thing, with this image. For computing the flow complex of this simplex, we just have to do these things, and we recover these blue segments. And so we immediately see that the fixed point of the flow complex starting at this simplex is simply a cycle, one of the cycle of the torus. So it, you see, it shows that the fixed point of the flow complex may be decomposed in a smaller elementary pieces. And also, it is interesting for computational purpose because this computation are much more efficient than the original application of the formula. So, perhaps I have just
5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. So I have not said anything about the proofs of all these properties. And so there are some proofs which are very simple because we just applied, and that is one of the interest of Morse sequence. We just, for some proof, we just apply the definition of Morse sequence. We just make some induction from the left to the right. We start from the empty set, which is a set which has all the properties, and we make some induction, and immediately we derive some plenty of basic properties just by saying by induction. So that is the first collection of basic properties, but it is not sufficient. We have to have other technical tools, and so I just illustrate in 2 slides two ideas for the technical tools which are necessary. The first technical tool is to consider what we call a simplex-wise Morse sequence. To each sequence, we can consider another form by taking the faces instead of taking the simplicial complex. These 2 forms are equivalent forms, so we can the simplex-wise form. It is interesting because we can rearrange this sequence. So we can make a kind of rearrangement based on the dimension. So what is interesting is that for each Morse sequence, there exists an arranged Morse sequence such that the sequences are equivalent. I just few slides. We can define also the notion of lower and upper skeleton, and I will just describe this lower and upper skeleton in one image. So here I have a Morse sequence. I can rearrange the elementary regular pair of the sequence. So this sequence, here you have the upper, the lower. I describe just the lower and upper skeleton of this sequence. The upper skeleton of dimension 0 is made of the 2 vertices. The lower skeleton of dimension 1, we add to these critical vertices all the one-dimensional regular pair. So this is the one-dimensional lower skeleton. The one-dimensional upper skeleton, I just add all the critical one-dimensional face to the lower skeleton. I obtain this one. After the lower two-dimensional skeleton of the object, I add all the two-dimensional regular pairs. So we have a skeleton sequence, lower, upper skeleton sequence. What is an important fact is that this simplicial complex does not appear in the original sequence. We have to rearrange the sequence in order to obtain this one. But we have an equivalence between the gradient vector field of, so it's okay. And we derive several properties, and well, and I stop. So in 1 minute, in conclusion, perhaps the more basic aspect of this approach is that we recover all basic properties with only 2 operators and 1 map and their duals. Also, some perspective. So, yes. For a computational scheme, if you are interested, you can go to the Laurent Najman talk on the session of discrete geometry and mathematical morphology Thursday. Also, if you are interested by this talk, I just deposed a paper available on HAL. You have to type exactly this title in order to have access to this paper. Thank you for your attention.
We have time for many questions.
Is it correct that in the critical complex, any chain is a cycle?
In the critical complex?
In the critical complex, well, in the way I visualize it, I have the intuition that the boundary operator is always 0.
No. No.
So maybe. Okay, so
Imagine I have just this simplicial complex. I build a Morse sequence, and okay. Thank you very much. I build a Morse sequence, so I can start. You create a critical phase here. Imagine I don't apply the maximal increasing scheme. And I create, it is not a good idea, but I create a second critical vertex here. After I make the expansion here, the elementary expansion. And now I have to create a critical segment here. And so the boundary will be equal to A plus B. So in fact, we have this property only in a very interesting case where we have a perfect description, perfect number of critical phase. Yes, the perfect situation, but you know, it is NP complete. You cannot have always a perfect situation.
So, in the torus example that you showed, is reference and co-reference maps. It seemed that when you did this label propagation using, when you did the label propagation
Yes.
using the co-reference maps, you recovered this nice cellular decomposition of the torus by taking the union of
Yes.
simplices with the same label. So this is something that works in general, or that through this label propagation?
In fact, it is in the list of our future work to better see this segmentation process. It seems to be related to the so-called how we say, ascending, descending manifolds, which appears in discrete Morse theory. But it is not clear for me what is the exact definition of an ascending, descending manifold. So it would be interesting to make the link, because for several things it would lead to a segmentation technique for an image. So it is an interesting track, I think. But basically, we have the basic property that we have a really region represented by only one critical phase.
Thank you, Bertrand. How much your theory is linked to simplicial complexes? I have not seen where you really require that it is a simplicial complex. And
it can be directly derived for example, cubical complex.
Yeah,
it's immediate.
It's immediate. Okay.
Yes, immediate. Yes.
Okay. And
Yes. But for example, I don't settle this framework in CW complex. The difference with the CW complex, which is sometimes used, is that there is a subtle difference. If you read the book of Kozlov, often he uses of internal collapse. It is a notion, internal collapse. And in our framework, because for CW complex, you have some internal complex. In our framework, we have an object-oriented approach. There is no internal collapse, there is only external collapse. And so we take an object and we transform really it. And so that is why we use the simplicial complex and not, we don't use CW complex, for example.
Okay, well, maybe we should stop here and we'll resume the discussion at the coffee break. So we have a pause of 20 minutes, so let's thank